What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe.
The New Orleans Saints. Have found their guy. So where we're set up right here, you see ESPN radar behind us. If you look like 20 feet over there, the Pat McAfee set is there, and it's really awesome, actually. It's pretty crazy. But yesterday on Pat McAfee, Adam Schefter had this to say, quote, "The head of the Saints organization, Mickey Loomis, is going to do everything in his power when it comes to this coaching hire to follow the rules and go by the book, to not talk to Kellen Moore until after the Super Bowl. Could it break down and they don't reach an agreement? Sure. Is that likely? No. Kellen Moore is going to have a chance to probably triple his salary and become a head coach, one of 32. Kind of a funny allusion to what
Mickey.
Loomis had to say a few weeks ago. If the Saints are making, he would go on to say, quote, if the Saints were making any other move, whether it was hiring Miami Dolphins coordinator Anthony Weaver or New York Giants coordinator Mike Kafka or their own interim head coach, what are they waiting for? Why not go hire them right now? But they're not. They're waiting. And they're waiting to talk to Kellen Moore. And they're waiting to make sure that they give the Eagles zero evidence they've tampered with the guy until after the game. But the fact they don't have a coach tells you everything you need to know. Barring a setback, he's going to be the guy. So,
I don't like barring a setback, but I know you can't speak in absolutes.
Yeah.
But just with the way that this coaching search is gone, I don't love the fact that you're letting time pass and maybe he can change his mind.
But you have to, right? I know.
do.
I agree with you. Like the barring the setback language is simply just because, as you said, it's a week. A Super Bowl is going to take place. A lot's going to happen. What if Kellen Moore? I mean, it's not. We've seen what was the Billy Donovan? Remember that?
Yeah.
He signs to go with the Magic, I think, and then he ends up crying in a press conference and going back on it. He returns to Florida, so a last minute change.
I mean, Jets for 2 days, a day, and then decides to go to the Patriots.
A last minute. So a last minute change of heart is still technically in play here, but again, not likely. If you were a betting man, you would bet that Kellen Moore is going to be the Saints' next head coach. Here's what he had to say yesterday. Quote, "It's obviously been a good process. Having the opportunity to meet with Mickey and their leadership group has been great, and it's set up in a way that allows us to focus on the game, and we'll see what happens after that." So, a bit non-committal yesterday because it's not a good look, especially in the Philly media market, for Kellen Moore to be talking too much about the Saints at this thing, right? As he kind of alluded to constantly yesterday, his sole focus is on the Super Bowl, as it should be. When you get here, something that we talked about yesterday, you get here, you never know if you're going to get back, right? If you're a young player, you probably take it for granted. Oh, yeah, I'll find my way back in. Then you look up. Maybe you have one of the most successful NFL careers ever. You played 13 years, but you never even sniffed it again. Well, that can happen with coaches as well. Coaches who spend 20, 30, 40 years in the game. So, yeah, Kellen Moore is going to be fully focused on this Super Bowl. And then afterwards, I think he's going to really enjoy being named one of the NFL's 32 head coaches. Like, if he has any doubts about quarterback or anything else that popped up, he has already processed those and decided that he wants to move forward. He did not tell them no. Otherwise, the Saints would just, as the article talked about, go ahead and talk to, hire Kafka, Weaver, Rizzi, whatever. Kellen Moore's the guy.
You think he's thinking about pulling like a me machine, Burt Reynolds, and being the player coach since he outdueled Carr in college?
Yeah, wait, so take me back. So they actually played each other in college when Kellen Moore was at Boise, Carr was at Fresno. Boise dominated. Remember, Kellen Moore was 50-3 as a college starting quarterback. But what happened in that game?
I mean, he threw like 3 tuds, and I think Carr only threw for like 150-something yards maybe, and only one score. and Kellen Moore had like a perfect quarterback rating in the game. So it is wild that he potentially is going to be coaching someone that he played in college. And these NFL head coaches do continue to get younger and younger. Used to, it was kind of like the president. Like you had to be like over 45.
Yeah.
We don't even consider you to be a head coach. That has changed. But, yeah, he outdueled him, Boise and Fresno. So, look, he knows the player. I mean, they played each other in college, and they were the same age, and you know how that is. Like, all the centers that were the same age as you. Like, you knew where they were, how they ended up, and a little bit about them. And so he does have a book on Derek Carr, knows him as a player. And if he's already accepted that, and that is a part of the challenge, and he's still moving forward, that should give you some maybe hope that he feels like he can get more out of Carr.
Well, to me, what's interesting is I don't know that he –
like Spencer Rattler.
That's what I'm saying. I think he is cognizant. All I'm saying is that he's cognizant of the quarterback situation and he's accepted it. Does that mean he says, okay, we'll just play out Carr's contract? Maybe. Does that mean, no, when he gets in there, his first move is going to be to cut Carr, absorb the cost? Maybe Mickey said, look, we're going to give you time. We talk about the Saints pride themselves on being non-reactive. Although I think many would scoff at this, the Saints front office views themselves like something like the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They kind of believe that their process is right, their process is good, and that regardless of public pressure, we're going to stick to the process, and we're going to give these things time. And there is value there. Now, I do think it's a bit unearned with New Orleans as opposed to maybe something like Pittsburgh, whose stability is that of legend. But like there is value there. So I don't know. Maybe they told Moore, look, okay, you get to make the decision on quarterback. And
you'd have to.
Yeah, exactly. And so look, if you don't want to go with Carr, because let's say Moore said that in the meeting, and you were going to eat the cap hit. Like I understand next year may be really bad, but it's okay. We're not like you're going to have time then and have an opportunity to try to get your guy and try to figure out. So how Kellen Moore will handle it, and maybe it's Rattler. Like you said, there's all rumors that, the people are actually high in the building on Rattler. How Kellen Moore will handle it, I don't know, but I do feel really confident that Kellen Moore will be the one handling it. As I believe after the Super Bowl, when they're allowed to talk again, everything will be finalized, and he'll be announced as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I would think that he has all the leverage in the situation because of where you're at in the coaching search, who's still available, who's interested in your job, and so you can ask for things like that, like, hey, I'm not saying that Derek Carr is not going to be our quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be our quarterback. I just want you to know that it is going to be my choice. I am going to see all of the players that are available. Let's throw Jake Hayner maybe in there as well, although I don't think he's in the competition. You still drafted him in the 4th round. Let's have all those guys go out there, and I'm going to pick the best quarterback. The last 2 years, he's coached Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. So he knows what it looks like. 2 different quarterbacks as well, and he's done pretty well with both the quarterbacks. And so different styles, that gives you hope that he can make sure that the right quarterback, at least the best quarterback for you, is the starter moving forward.
Well, yeah, so that, I mean, to me, that is the greatest surface-level piece about Kellen Moore that is attractive is the versatility that he displayed this season. Because coming out of Dallas, as you said, coming out. Oh, I got a burp. But now I just like. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, no cough button here.
No, coming out of Dallas, coming out of L.A., he was viewed as a fancy pants passing lad. And then to take over Philadelphia, okay, where are my strengths? I have Saquon Barkley. Okay. Well, we're just going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. Really just create an offense that is kind of the complete polar opposite of what he had been running his entire career up to that point. And he's run that offense all the way to the Super Bowl. And the offense works great contextually with like what the defense for Philly wants to do. Yeah. But the point is that to me, the most attractive quality of any coach is always that ability to really adapt to the personnel and not just say it, but to actually do it, to adapt, to maximize what you have. And clearly I feel like he did that this season. So, I got to be clear. I don't think Kellen Moore is some, like, home run hire. I don't think he's I'm not sitting here terribly excited about it because I think he's being dealt a really bad hand. He is kind of, maybe he's that lottery ticket guy. He's in that category that we talked about, the lottery ticket coordinators who you don't fully know the upside. But, yeah, on the whole, Jake, like if you were to ask me, like, my grade on the hire, my excitement level, it's pretty tepid. Just kind of like, okay. It's interesting that it's a new head coach, and that's like a big deal. But like nothing about him or his resume has me like super fired up.
Yeah, it's not one of the coordinators that was kind of the it name for a couple of years. Now he's been a respected name, and we go back to his days finishing up with Dallas, the next year being the quarterback coach. I do think that's a big positive, even though Dallas is dysfunctional. I still think them giving him a job like that as soon as he retires kind of shows you, at least in the NFL circles, how much he's valued. So that is a plus. But, we talked about Ben Johnson for multiple years and being Aaron Glenn for multiple years. And so it's not that. But also it's not somebody that finished 30th in yards and 31st in points. Right? I mean, so like we've also had those conversations. And I do think it is important to point out what T-Bob just said. Different offenses, different quarterback, different philosophies, but the same coordinator. That is a coach that goes to Philly, says, okay, here's what I have. How can we make this the best possible product? And that's how you win 15 of 16 here down the stretch for Philly, because they really just honed in on what they do elite.
Yeah.
And they made the most of that, and teams know it's coming, and they still can't stop it.
And there's probably something to be said for taking over a pretty toxic situation.
Very
with
toxic.
A lot of big personalities in the room. Yeah, and kind of riding that ship. So there you go. There's a couple positives on Kellen Moore. What do you think? What is your emotional reaction to the hire?
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.